I am the latest person to join the Substack craze. If you go to legelawyer.substack.com, you will be able to find all my thoughts on the wacky and interesting world of legislative law. If you know one thing about me, it should probably be that I tend to be a bit of a late adopter. I started a political blog back about 10 years after the peak of blogging. This was back when I was a management consultant living in London. And now, after everyone else has started a Substack, I thought I should probably do this as well. So I've hopped on that bandwagon, but I'm hoping to provide something different, and it's something that I haven't seen anyone else really do yet, and that is to just lift the lid on the world of legislative law as a profession, and just the business and what it's like working in the world of particularly US state level legislative law, working in state houses, trying to enact policy, and so on for the good of the people. I think it's a profession, an area of the law that isn't, people don't know enough about it. I fell into it almost by mistake. I didn't even know it was an option going into law school. So that's one thing. I want to raise the awareness and the esteem of my profession, because I think legislative law is vital and it's noble and it's important work. If we do our jobs well, it avoids a lot of the kind of litigation and the other battles that you have further down the road. If you do your job wrong as a legislative lawyer, that leads to all kind of statutory interpretation problems, political issues, and all of the things that just suck up so much oxygen and make our politics so difficult. So I think our job is very important, it's very vital, and I want to just raise awareness of the importance of legislative law. And also I just want to talk a bit about the mechanics of it, how it works, best practice, things like that. You know, I've been working my current job at the Institute for Justice now for about 1.5 years. It's been great. It's the best job I've ever had. This is why I became a lawyer. And in my job, I get to travel all around the country and go to different states and testify in legislative committee hearings in support of our model legislation and other bills that we support. I get to do some lobbying as well, which is something I had to learn from the ground up. That's not something I've ever done before. And it's been interesting. So I've learned things, but I've also generated questions along the way, like how should things work? Are things working most effectively? What could be different? So I want to raise some of those questions as well. Right now, there's only 2 articles on the Substack. The first one is celebrating the amazing year we had in the Texas state legislature for housing reform. I was part of the big Texas Housing Coalition, the Institute for Justice was, along with lots of other groups from all across the political spectrum. And by having that big tent, we managed to just pass a huge raft of positive pro-housing, pro-zoning reform bills that should hopefully help to alleviate the state housing crisis. So the first piece on my Substack talks just about those bills. It goes through them, what they should hopefully accomplish. The second one's also on housing. There won't all be. This is just a trend for the first couple. And this is talking about an ongoing debate about should the YIMBY movement, the Yes in My Backyard movement, go big? Should it try and become more like a political party, take on more policy positions on other issues, or should it just focus narrowly on the one thing that it does? That's a question that's consuming a lot of people at the moment. I take the position that what worked in Texas is the best template for everywhere else, and at least as far as state-level reforms go, we need to keep the tent big and the goals narrow. We shouldn't try to take on every other urbanist priority, things that we may sometimes personally agree with, but can be distractions and can push other people outside of the tent. So that's the second article up there. The next one I think is going to be on the Texas food truck bill that I worked on. That was a great project. That was a bill that was filed by Representative Brooks Landgraf and sponsored by Senator Lois Kolkhorst in the Texas legislature, and it's going to create that single statewide permit for Texas food trucks, just freeing them from a lot of bureaucracy. And that was great because that involved activism, lobbying, legislative drafting. It was like the full gamut of everything that I get to work on. So I want to just share some of the background of that. And then other things as they come up, as I go through the summer conference season, as we begin looking at our strategy for the next legislative sessions, I'll share some of that too. On my social media accounts, you'll see more of my day-to-day work as legislative counsel at the Institute for Justice. This Substack is going to be more of a personal project and just my own personal reflections on the state of legislative law, legislative lawyering, and what that's all about. So it's going to have a slightly different angle. It'll be slightly longer form, very irregular. I'll post when I have time. Things get busy, so it won't be all the time. But hopefully you find it of interest. So again, if you go to Substack, the address for my new legislative law blog is legelawyer.substack.com. Go there, subscribe, check it out. It's free. Hope you enjoyed. If you have any questions or comments, let me know. Thank you.